What's going on, everybody? Red Velvet's back in the studio, and today I have a very special guest coming to us via satellite. Jedidiah Collins, how are we doing today?
Brother, just blessed. Happy to be here, excited to connect, talk to your audience, but truly, man, just looking around at the world, we got to wake up, and the greatest question I've been asked lately is, if I gave you $1 million, would you not wake up tomorrow? The answer is absolutely not. So today's worth $1 million. Let's go. So that's how I'm feeling.
Well, good. Where are you coming to us from via satellite?
I am just outside of Seattle, Washington in Bellevue. We are now the second home of Amazon, capital of T-Mobile, and just up the street from the Seattle Seahawks practice facility.
Very nice. You feel like making a return to the Seahawks, like showing up?
I can probably give you a series, not a whole game. I got, like 2 ISOs. You call lead ISO twice. I'll give it to you, but then I'm out.
Yeah. That's what I told somebody's like, you ever think about playing football again? I go, I got like 3 plays in me, and then I'm done. Like,
But
I
those
got
3
fighting left, and I'm waiting for somebody to cut in front of me in the line. Yeah, I'm out. Like,
yeah,
it was fun, but I'm moving on. But so
young man's game.
It is. It's a young man's game. I got gray hair now. I had that 10-year-old state champion thought I was 55, and I go, "You're lucky you're 10. You probably beat me up." So I'll just stop right there. So can you give us a little background? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Where are you born and raised?
Born and raised Southern California. Went from Orange County, California to Pullman, Washington for college, which is culturally and geographically about as far away from each other as you could imagine. One thing I loved about going to Pullman, Washington State, the people, they are much more down to earth, much more people first kind of thinkers. But a little shout out, we came from Mission Viejo High School. You can see my little helmet right behind me. Great career there, went 41-0, won 41 games in a row. My coach came up to me the last game. We're playing for the championship to go 42-0. And he said, Jed, 42-0, 41-1. How do you want to go through the rest of your life? We lost. So but rest in peace, Bob Johnson, who was my coach, changed my life. He just passed away this week. So I'm going to go back and commemorate him. But yeah, man, one thing I love to share about my journey, my story, I'm one of 5 kids. I'm the youngest of the 3 boys in the middle, and I lost every day growing up. So today I consider myself a great failure. That extended into my NFL career. It extended throughout my life as an entrepreneur. You got to be comfortable knowing you're going to get kicked in the teeth a lot. So being a great failure is something that really embodies who I am and kind of my journey.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And I can't wait to get into that, but playing football in California, I was talking to my buddy, and he's like, dude, you know Los Angeles has more football programs. The city of Los Angeles has more football programs than the state of Indiana. I'm like,
absolutely.
I can't even fathom that right now. So, so let's talk about your high school. 41-1. That was your career high school record.
Sophomore to senior, and it was an incredible run, especially from a public high school. And we went and played the modern days. We played the big boys, the Long Beach Pollies. When I was leaving was when high school started actually like get on planes and go play people. I wasn't in that noise yet, but the year I left, we flew up and played De La Salle, and a couple of years they went to Hawaii. I'm like, well, pause, guys. Like, I was part of the, why didn't I get the Hawaii trip? But it was so neat. Bob Johnson's 2 sons were Rob and Brett, both former NFL quarterbacks. They came back to teach us. We had another couple college level player and coaches on our staff. So Mission Viejo at the time was truly a small college. We had an amazing coaching staff, and the expectation of how we prepared was at that level. But you're absolutely right. You see Los Angeles, you see San Diego, you see Orange counties all around each other, and the amount of people. I drove past high schools to get to my high school. Like, it is just so many, but the competition is right there. I got to play in the Cali, Florida Bowl, leaving high school, and you realize, all right, Florida's got some dudes too.
Absolutely. So how many students were enrolled in your high school?
We were actually Division II. and we had about 3,000. So it was over 3,000 was Division I. Long Beach Poly at the time had just under 5,000, over 1,000 kids per grade. And yeah, we had probably 120 guys coming out to the football program.
Wow.
Yeah, it fell off a little bit, and after the 2008, 2015 era, but it was the tough thing. What I missed and what I've always been envious of, I got to play big time high school football, but I always wondered how it was felt down in Texas, like where the city shuts down and everybody, even at my high school, like we had a nationally renowned drum line and marching band. And so like the football, we were undefeated and we were state champs and we were cool, but there were so many other things. It's Southern California. Everybody has their own flavor. Right. Whereas like you come to Indiana, it's like, no, we play ourselves some football. Like this is what we do. Yeah. And I always wanted that, I got to feel that more and more at the higher levels, but yeah, it was a great experience.
Heck yeah, dude, that's awesome. I feel you. You had a drum line that was really good. Our marching band won like 29 state titles. So football was like second class, and in the 90s, it was awful. Like people would show up till halftime when the band performed, then they'd leave. Second half, stands. Luckily, times have changed, and people stay for the whole game. But I know exactly what you mean. I mean, our high school won its first athletic state championship in 2016. And you thought we won the Super Bowl. Like it was like, we finally did it.
We did it.
But it was cool. And that was a baseball. It wasn't even football.
Off to the field? Did the band help in the pregame?
Yeah. So they'd form a tunnel and play our fight song as we get all hyped up. And at that time we had a big helmet you'd run through. That was pretty cool. I remember my first time. I didn't start playing football until I was a sophomore in high school because I had confidence. I didn't think I was
freshman.
Yeah. And really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
You're a big guy. So why didn't
No. I ate myself later on. When my first year playing football, I weighed 175 pounds. Then my senior year of high school, I got up to 195 and they put me on the offensive line in 4A football. Then 3 months after I graduated, I gained 45 pounds. I went from 195 to 245 pounds and then started playing semi-pro and then jumped up to 310 my final season. I didn't stop growing, man. It came too late, but I still remember running out of that tunnel, the band's playing. Dude, I had tears in my eyes. Like that was the most energetic I'd ever been in my life. And I was the best cheerleader on the sidelines. I can tell you that.
People ask me all the time, I've got to go play in big stadiums, college, professionally. There is nothing, and I say nothing, that will compare to a pure high school football game. And the camaraderie, because even now at the college level, you don't have 3 to 5 year brothers. Like you don't have that bond. The high school guys, we got a 190-pound guy playing right guard, and he's just a tough, scrappy dude getting it done. Like, I love that story and like that idea. So yeah, I grew up a basketball family. My dad played basketball. Both my brothers played basketball in college. We were hoopers. They're all about 6'5", 200 pounds. And I ended up being 6'1", 250 pounds. So basketball was not going to be my future. But I do attribute a lot of my fluidity on the field to growing up playing hoops. But my parents didn't let me play tackle until freshman year of high school. And one of the reasons why Bob Johnson changed my life, I actually transferred after my freshman year, mainly because the middle brother, the one a year older than me, was going to transfer for his basketball career. And I kind of got just tugged along with the brother.
You got to go with him.
But I went to this new school, Mission Viejo, and I was like, I'm going to focus on my basketball future. Like, that's where I'm going to go. And Bob pulled me to the side, looked at me dead in the eyes, and goes, "Where do you think you're going for basketball? Come here, come with me. And I was like, all right, football it is. Let's do this."
Now, were you a fullback when you started, or were you?
No.
Okay.
I came in as a linebacker. So this is one of my adaptability mindset. High school, I was a linebacker. College, I was a tight end. NFL, I was a fullback. And people attribute, and they go, "Man, you must have been really good." And it's like, no, I wasn't good enough for that position at that level. So they made me move. It was not by choice. It never is. You're coachable. So yeah, I started out, I played a little offense in high school. I did some, things here and there, but my main position was middle linebacker, calling the defense.
Okay. You were one of them bangers and just.
I was, yeah. Not at first. God, no. At first, I was a basketball player playing football, but we were talking before we started recording, the mentality, the mindset, the character. Once I found out, one, I'm not as breakable as I originally thought, which I think one of the things football teaches a lot of young men is pain is not fun, but you can deal with pain. You're not going to break. And then you start to get into the mentality of like, okay, I'm not going to break. And that guy's kind of afraid of me too. Like I vividly remember my junior year when people didn't want to hit me anymore. And I was like, really? Let's go. Even in the NFL, like a linebacker who I'm coming after got out of the way. And I was like, yeah, I guess you don't get paid $6 million a year to hit the fullback. You got to get the guy behind you. But it is such a mental change to be like, no, I can be the scary monster too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the recruiting process. I mean, how many schools were recruiting you, going after you?
So I love to share this, and this is going to be great for some of your younger listeners. I got to play in the NFL. One of my claims to fame is that I run a 5.03 40 time. That's not fast. That's what I ran. That's what linemen are faster than me. Hard stop. And so like any special teams coach that saw my resume looked at it and go, yeah, we can't use this guy. Now I ended up being a 4-core starter on all special teams in college and pro. So there's a difference between being an athlete and athleticism. I am not a great tangible athlete. I have very good athleticism. Part of that is that mentality of just, I don't die. I don't get killed. I fail over and over. I'm keep coming. So what I looked at in the recruiting was I was the West Coast first rated linebacker, All-American, all the good things. And then you go to that, pro day. Back then was the Nike camps. I know it's changed. There still is the Nike camps, but I ran in high school. I ran like a 5.07. So by my pro day in college, I got a little bit faster.
Yeah.
But after that, everybody kind of got scared away. And so I actually had a few schools approach me to transition to fullback as a graduating senior. But in my head, I was an all-state linebacker. I was the guy. I was a middle dude. Washington State told me I could come there and play linebacker. And so that's kind of where my recruiting went. I did not get many scholarship offers. I had about 5 or 6, which I, be proud of. Not only 2 or 3% of people get to keep going and playing. But it went from Jed's going to be a blue chip guy to Jed's too slow to play at the next level, humble. And so I show up to Washington State immediately having to, 1, re-solidify the confidence in myself, and 2, prove to all the coaches I might be a step slow, but I'm going to always be a step ahead and you won't even be able to tell. And so from a recruiting perspective, it was a really neat experience. Again, very early on, I realized I wouldn't go anywhere for basketball, so it was an easy choice. But once I landed on Pullman, going to Washington State, it was one of those decisions. They were a great program. They had just finished in the top 10, beat Texas in the Holiday Bowl. And you go there and appreciate the opportunity to keep playing collegiate sports. Mm-hmm. That recruiting story and that entire process has shifted and changed in a crazy and beautiful at times way. But I truly look at the commitment that I made to Washington State, staying there for my 4 years. And I even question today if I was in the era of now, would I have stayed there all 4 years? Because I didn't walk onto the field and immediately start. My junior year, I was at tight end now. A player got hurt and I got thrown into the starting role. I didn't start the full season until my senior year. Again, running a 5+ 40, I ended up leading the nation in receptions as a tight end. So I can play football, but from the tangible perspective, you are always trying to overcome the hurdle of you're a slow football player. I don't look good getting off the bus. I look good after a few plays.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I believe you had a school record at tight end in 07, didn't you?
Yes, sir. That's and that was what was so funny is I was not gonna run a seam and just outbeat outside linebacker or safety or anything like that. But basketball taught me body control and spacing. And so I could get real close to a guy, create my 6 inches, and get a jump shot off. Shocking, not that different catching a football. And so that's where I live. 3rd down and 4 to 11, you're looking for me because I know I'm going to be able to create a little space and get open. And that's what was fun, was going into the coach's offices and being like, do you remember when I wasn't fast enough to play linebacker? Well, I'm fast enough to beat all your linebackers now. So what's your excuse? What's the reason in there?
Yeah. So when you're in high school, you didn't have Twitter. How are you trying to get film out there to get recognized? I mean, kids today have no idea how hard that process is.
Man, now they're building it with AI. Now, have you seen the one where the kid runs past the 11-yard line and you just go, that's AI. It looks good. It's really close. One tweak. I'm going to make one little minor change here. So this is a part of where Mission Viejo was a trendsetter. We were truly thought leaders, and I attribute it again to Bob Johnson. They would help us make highlight films.
Okay.
And in the off seasons going into your junior and senior year, you'd go cut up your film, but then it was connections. Then it was, who does Bob know? Bob knows a coach at Colorado State. He's going to watch your stuff. Coach knows that guy at Washington State. They're starting to come down and be at our practices. Now, the other fortunate part of being at something like Mission Viejo when I was there, I had some blue chip dudes around me. Now, I will tell them to their face, I'm a better player than them, but they are a better recruit. And so, he's gotten into some troubles and stuff, but one of my quarterbacks was Mark Sanchez. Another quarterback was Jordan Palmer, who's now the quarterback guru. We had, in my 3 years there, about 10 guys make it to the NFL from a public high school, which was insane. So when Pete Carroll's coming to your high school practices to watch the left tackle, I always went over and, introduced myself and made sure he saw who I was too. And that was what was cool. So I got to talk to Pete, being a USC, 45 minutes an hour away. He recruited us heavily. And then when I was playing against him at Washington State, he came up to me on the sideline. I'm on kickoff return, and he yells out, Collins. And I look over at him. I'm like, what is Pete Carroll yelling at me for? And he's like, we're kicking you the ball. What? And then the kickoff came right to me. And I was like, this guy's over. He's having a great time. Like, get out of here. That's just a memory.
The real question is, did you field that kick?
Oh, I got it.
Okay. I'm not sure.
And again, I wasn't returning it for a touchdown, but you better believe I got about 12 to 15 yards. Like, I run forward and I fall forward. Mm-hmm. One of my claims, and this is why I love these things. I'm bouncing around. I'm telling you, I haven't told that Pete Carroll story probably in 30 years. But one of my claims to fame is, for 4 seasons in the NFL, there were 2 players on 3rd down or 4th down and 1 who were perfect in their conversions. And we ended up both being 19 and for 19. Yours truly and a guy named Tom Brady. And that was my, every week I wanted to get one more conversion and be like, oh, I wonder if Tom knows he and I are in that. He had no idea, nor does he care. But for 4 years, we were both perfect. And then, shocker, I got stopped and he didn't.
Well,
he wins it all.
He always wins, that guy. Yeah. I'll tell you what. No, that's what's cool about this podcast is, dude, I've bounce around. Yeah. Somehow we circle back. Sometimes we don't, and we just keep moving. But that's what I love about this podcast is we just learn all sorts of things.
So as you, but on the recruiting question, as you look at your areas, you look at, the options to go, what would you say to a young player trying to put film out or trying to get seen? Like how How is this evolution changing for athletes today?
Well, out here in rural America, I mean, right now, I always tell the kids, I say, it doesn't matter what level you go to. Next level is you're still a dog. And right now we have at my high school, I think we've had maybe 4 kids go FBS, and one of them is our quarterback. The quarterback that's getting ready to graduate. He's going to Army West Point. So it's like everybody, and I've been heavily involved in the youth program here in town for 10, 15 years. And I said, don't worry about going D1 and best. I said, get your highlights out there, be active on social media. Don't be an idiot. And just, there's better people than me at it, because nobody's recruiting me. Nobody wanted a 195-pound guard. I can tell you that. But I thought they did, but they didn't. But I just,
not wrong.
I know, but I just keep trying. You know, you got to be resilient and keep fighting for it. But if you only get a D2 offer, awesome. I'm going to support you. I'm going to cheer you on. You only get a JUCO offer, cool. That doesn't mean one of my best friends. He was 6'7", 340 pounds. He was an offensive lineman. He ended up going to College of the Canyons out there in California, played 2 years, and then transferred to Louisville. And he was good to go. Like, the NFL's calling, broke his back, and it's like, but I don't even know where I went with that story. But I said, he's the best. Yeah. He was the best football player to come out of this high school, and he had to go to JUCO.
Yeah,
it's okay to go to work your way up, and it's okay.
My best story of that is a young man named Cameron Ward. Cam went to Incarnate Word. Had never heard of Incarnate Word. Mm-hmm. Short story, I founded our Washington State's collective because I was at the beginning of NIL, and I was like, guys, we need to do this, blah, blah, blah. So I got connected to Cam's dude when he was at Incarnate Word, coming now to Washington State after he signed. We were trying to put a package together. So he goes from Incarnate Word to Washington State. By his senior year, the University of Miami starts calling, and they give him more money than our entire university could give him. So goodbye, Cam, and have a good time. Last year, I get to run into him. I go teach the Tennessee Titans. Cam, from Incarnate Word, which I would bet most of your listeners still don't know where the heck that is.
I have no idea where that's at.
It's Texas, East Texas, West Texas. I think it's East Texas. To Washington State, we're a decent program. We're not a good program. To the University of Miami, and then the number 1 player in the NFL draft. Like you just said, it doesn't matter where you start. Start at Incarnate Word. You could still be the number 1 draft pick in the NFL. It's just the mentality. Will you have the tenacity and the grit to not give up? And will you not let somebody who goes, you run a 5 40, you can't play here. Don't let that person decide your future. You have to, as an entrepreneur, you have to be crazy enough to see something nobody else sees. That's what everybody on social media wants, to be an entrepreneur. And I say, are you crazy? Well, no. Then you can't be an entrepreneur, because they literally see something that is not real and is not there. That's how you have to approach your career. If you believe it, you can make it happen.
Absolutely.
And that ain't easy. That ain't fun.
No, trust me, I'm doing a podcast in small town America. People think I am nuts. I'm like,
people are.
They're like, you know, I could do that too. I'm like, are you willing to starve? Go for it. You know, like that's, you have to, that's what, I want to get in the mental aspect of like the entrepreneur stuff, but you have to be willing to climb Cringe Mountain. You have to be willing to like question yourself every day. Like, is this right? Is this the right thing to do? Because you're going to have those battles, but if you keep grinding, you're going to keep leveling up. And
brother, it's working. Look at how I connected with you. The message is coming through. And just like you said, you got to be willing to put yourself out there. The first time I posted stuff on social media, both of my brothers text me and go, what are you doing? And I'm like, ooh, did I do something wrong? No, you're just doing something that everybody's going to say. Once you have 1 million followers, I could have done that. Red wasn't doing anything special. The difference was he showed up and did it every day.
Yep.
The greats, the NFL players, they are better than most, but they're not the greatest. They just know how to do it every time. And that's the difference, consistency.
Yeah. And that's what I've been learning through this journey is, you know, it doesn't matter how many views, I just got to keep doing it. It doesn't matter. You know, I mean, it's cool to get the million views. Like, let's go. But then, like, the next post gets like 12, and you're like, well,
why don't they like me?
Exactly. That's how TikTok started. First ever video, 7,000 views. Next one got 100. I'm like, what happened? I'm not popular anymore. This sucks.
Yes.
So yeah. Anyway, sorry. I
love that though. And this is something my daughter, 12 years old, about to be 12 years old, is having that fight with a coach or a teammate or another player, this, that. And she's looking at all these external things to get herself validation. And I keep telling her to look in the mirror. Same thing I had to do my rookie year in the NFL was look in a mirror. If you don't believe you're supposed to be here, nobody else will. And I walked into the NFL big-eyed and bushy-tailed being like, these dudes, that's Brian Dawkins over there. Like, whoa. And then you go and that guy hits you and you go, that was awesome. But I got to respect him and not fear him. I have to believe I deserve to be here. And you always look for those external likes. I always want something else to prove what my value is. And if social media teaches us anything, post and ghost. Don't look at the likes. Don't look at the views. If you're enjoying it, that much better. But there's going to be a lot of days you don't. That's called discipline, is when you can make yourself do things you don't want to do.
Absolutely. And those days are there. And that's what I want to really get through to everybody is, you still have to show up. I need to go to the weight room. I know I'm, Lou Ferrigno over here, but that's something I got to work on myself. I got to go to the weight room when I don't want to go. I got to post on social media when I don't want to post. You just got to put the work in, and it's going to pay off. While we're talking about the NFL, undrafted free agent. Did you enter the draft? Did you go to the combine?
Again, my senior year, very similar to Jed the linebacker, Jed the tight end. I was all Pac-10, second team. The first team all Pac-10 guy went first round. His name was Fred Davis. He went for the Commanders. What were they? The Redskins.
Yeah.
He also ran a 4.5. So 4.5 to 5 flat. That's those are the.
Yeah.
So leaving Washington State, nobody knew what position I could play. I'm 6'1", running a 5 flat. I'm not a tight end. Like you go into the NFL and you stand next to Jeremy Shockey and Jimmy Graham, and you're like, that is not me. Like Jimmy's my buddy, and he walks into my house and I go, I forget how freaking big you are, dude. You're just a giant. I mean, he's Aaron Judge, Jimmy Graham and Aaron Judge. They're just giant beings.
Yeah.
So I leave Washington State and everybody goes, well, you're not going to be a tight end. There is one more line. It's a shorter line and it's a different position. Could you possibly be a mobile tight end / fullback? Because at this time, there wasn't even that many fullbacks in the NFL. And that was the mental challenge for me was, can I learn a new position? Now, going undrafted, I immediately had all 32 teams tell me, you're not going to make this team. Showing up at training camp, I got cut 13 times my first 3 years. Walking into training camps, going on to rosters, performing to the best of my abilities. And what you humbly realize, similar to what we were just talking about, a lot of the reasons I got cut had nothing to do with me or my performance. I was beating players out, but maybe he was a 4th round pick. Maybe they'd already traded for him. Maybe a coach just liked him more than me. Not my job. I got to finally land in New Orleans, where they were known. Sean Payton is known as the land of misfit toys. He loves finding guys and showing the world something no one else saw. He likes the Marcus Colston. You're a 7th round draft pick. You're going to get 10,000 yards in the NFL in our system. And so going into the NFL, having to learn to be a lead blocking fullback, which if I can explain the difference between every position in football and a lead blocking fullback, you are the crash test dummy. Like your job is to move big, angry men against their will. Now, linemen do that all day, every day. They don't do it with the 10-yard head start. And that is a collision. That is an experience that, again, I walked in and said, Brian Dawkins, like Stuart Bradley was the Eagles middle linebacker. Like, these are mean dudes.
Mm-hmm.
I had to internally find my character again, the one that figured out how to catch passes against bigger, stronger, faster guys. Now I had to go out and be the baddest dude on the field. And that was something I would stand before games and stare at my opponents and go, I'm the baddest dude on the field. You fear me today. And it tricking yourself until you truly start to believe it. But that's how I overcame. Undrafted, getting cut 13 times was more a mental battle than a physical battle, because I got better, but it wasn't my physical performance that drastically changed. It was my mentality.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I can't, like, just 13 times and you still kept going. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, if I got cut like 3 times, I'd be like, well, no. That's what I'm just like. Oh,
that's what sane people do. But remember, I'm a little crazy.
That's true. You are a little crazy. You play fullback. You are crazy, dude. I don't ever want to mess with a fullback. So
you can be crazy or you can be mean. And so I'm not that mean naturally. This part of, and we talked about, your persona. My character was named Jedidiah, and that was the beast I became. I don't look like Jedidiah anymore. Jedidiah grew out a ponytail. Jedidiah had a big bushy beard. Jedidiah had about 30, 40 pounds on me. And so when I looked into the mirror and I saw the ponytail, it was, biblical. It was Samson. My strength came from believing I was that character.
Mm-hmm.
And it is such a neat experiment. I'm working with my 2 young daughters. You got to name them. You got to name her, him, her, whatever. What is your character's name? And once you identify that, then you feel like out on a field, out on a court, out on anything, wrestling that person takes over. Maybe you naturally aren't willing to go do a lead ISO. I sure as hell wasn't. Jedidiah.
Yeah.
Now that dude, he would go through there and he was the one, and we always said, are you the hammer or the nail? He was willing to be the hammer. Yeah. And it's a neat process. Again, why football physically has such a demand, such a toll, such a cost. Why I still line up and go, yes, every young boy in America should play football, is because it teaches you that.
Yeah.
And I think that resilience is something we need to learn.
Absolutely. And I've been saying the same thing. I said football is the best sport in the world, in my opinion. So nobody yell at me later, but you have to learn situations on the fly. Like, okay, that guy just knocked the crap out of me. How am I going to come back from that? Is he going to eat me alive the rest of the game, or am I going to man up and take him down? It just teaches you so many skills, especially about the real world too.
Yes,
you have to. So that's just, everybody should play football. I'm saying that right now in the camera. Everybody needs to play football.
At least go put on some pads, play for a day. You don't got to come back tomorrow, and most won't. That's also why the game is great. It is a weed out process. Most people do not come back. After that guy eats your lunch and knocks you out, you're crazy to stand up and line back up. But that's what life is going to do. We look at even just, the people who traditionally don't play football, tech wizards. Look at their world right now. Technology has boomed and everybody's celebrated. Over the last 6 months, everybody's getting fired. They just got knocked out. Are you ready to stand back up? If you've never had to before, it's a harder skill to learn.
Mm-hmm.
The first rounders had nowhere near as much grit as I did. They didn't have to.
Right.
They got given opportunities. I had to earn them.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, again, I keep referencing entrepreneur. Now in my business, people will sometimes go, Jed, you follow up a lot. Like, you're kind of a nuisance in how much and I go, nobody's going to give me anything. I'm going to keep knocking until you tell me to leave. And that's the only way I know how to do it.
You have an underdog mentality. It's like, you're not going to outwork me. That's the mentality I see from you, is you will not outwork me. Might be better than me, might be more talented than me, but you ain't going to outwork me, dog. And that's what I love.
I'll give you one. So I would always look at my opponents and say, I'm bigger than you. If I'm not bigger than you, I'm stronger than you. If I'm not stronger than you, I'm faster than you. If I'm not faster than you, then I'm going to outwork you. If I can't outwork you, I'm going to outsmart you. If you're bigger, stronger, faster, outwork and outsmart, I'll shake your hand after the game. One guy I had to do that to, his name was Cam Chancellor, and that dude was a freak of nature. That guy was a safety for the Seahawks, and to this day, you look at him and you go, you should not have been playing safety. Like, you're too big to be that fast and that much of a worker. And so, yeah, but that's the measurement. And if somebody beats you, that's the beauty of sport. Shake their hand and go, I'll be back tomorrow.
Yep. We got work to do. That's what we got.
Work to do.
And, well, that's what we're now talking about the NFL. Like, the 2011 running back room was nuts. Darren Sproles, Mark Ingram, Chris Ivory, and Pierre Thomas. I mean,
yeah,
I couldn't imagine.
It was, and we got rid of Reggie Bush like that, because we got rid of Reggie to welcome all those dudes in.
Yeah.
It was, and so we were the greatest offense of all time. That was a very neat team to be a part of. I'm proud to be, I was actually, that helmet up there is signed by the 2011 offense because we broke that record. And it was a plethora of gifts. Sean Payton, Drew Brees. You throw in like a Darren Sproles that is just a matchup nightmare. That was the year Jimmy Graham started to really take hold and define himself. And then you still have a stable of wide receivers who are all pretty darn good. The fortunate thing that I got to do, and where my book is kind of establishing, is I died 13 times before my career even began. That perspective it gave me was to cherish every day I got to be in that world. When I first made it in New Orleans, my wife and I would cheers every Tuesday afternoon because I made the roster one more week. That didn't stop after the first year. That lasted 5 more years, but every Tuesday I took a moment of saying, man, I'm still here. Like, that's cool. Sitting in a running back room and looking around and going, this dude won the Heisman? This guy was a first-round pick? This guy is leading the league? And pause and observe them, absorb from them, steal everything I can from greatness. And that is what I was fortunate to do. Journaling is a skill that I've had most of my life.
Yes.
My freshman year in college, I was a little embarrassed about it, so I didn't journal too much that year, probably for the best. But the rest of it, I've documented my journey. And now I get to publish a book and share some of those moments and insights with others. But yes, that 2011 team, and you talk about how talented that running back room was. We went on the road. We were beating everybody by double digits. Like, we were dominant. We could not be stopped once we found our flow. We won, I think, 11 games in a row, lost 1 or 2 early before we knew who we were. And then we go to San Francisco, and they have the defense that was an immovable force, runs into the unstoppable object. Like, they knocked out Chris Ivory. They knocked out Darren Sproles. They knocked Pierre Thomas out of the game cold the first drive. Like, Pierre's not coming back, period. And you just start to look at it and you go, how do you stop talent? How do you stop artists? Apparently you knock them unconscious. That's the only way. Like, yeah. So yeah, that team was a phenomenal experience to be around. To this day, I think we should have won the Super Bowl. I think if we could have kept one of our running backs healthy enough, we would have won the Super Bowl, but you can't beat them. And they beat us. Yeah.
That 49er game, did you end up getting carry the ball? You're like, well,
yeah,
me, baby.
I took reps at running back, and to my credit, I knew what I was doing. I knew the position, but I became a blocker. Like, are we handing him the ball? No. All right, Drew, I'm here. You go do your thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Mark Ingram was out with a foot thing before we went. Pierre got knocked out on the first play about the beginning of the second quarter. Darren went down. And so then it was just Chris Ivory and I, and love Chris to death. He's a stud, but he wasn't the full offense package guy. He wasn't a Pierre Thomas or a Darren Sproles. He was let's give him 10 carries to run downhill and run through people. And so, yeah, and then he eventually got bugged and bumped out for a while. It was such a humbling game to go, we should win this one 10 times out of 10. And we were going to if we won that, we would have gone back to New Orleans, played a New York Giants team we beat by 42 earlier that year to go to the Super Bowl. We were all just like, shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's life.
That is. And now, like, when did you know that your career was winding down? It's like, all right, I got to transition to something else. When did, like,
I mean, when I went undrafted, that's the joke is, yeah, like I ran across guys who would tell people to go to schools and say, don't have a plan B. I got cut 13 times. I needed a plan B, the first one. And I was like, this is not the end all be all. But one, the financial world became a plan B for me when I was entering as a Philadelphia Eagle rookie. The humbling idea that I knew nothing about money. I was an accounting major in college. I come from Orange County, around money, and still nobody had ever said, Jed, you're going to get a paycheck. Here's what you're supposed to go do with it. And so that really kind of gave me the light of, okay, I wanted to be able to empower myself to speak money, but I also wanted to help some of my brothers and some of the people around me with this thing. Come my last year, I left New Orleans, believing I was a top tier fullback, believing I was going to get a contract. They, like everybody did in my career, passed by and told me to get out the door. And so I landed in Detroit, and really I just had my first daughter, and it was almost like a tour to say goodbye. Like I kind of knew, I wasn't sure. I was still trying to convince myself, but again, like we said at the beginning, it's a young man's game. And so that last year was when I really started to journal and document so much, because I felt the journey, the amazing experience was coming to a close. And so with that perspective, finances, studying for the CFP became much more of a focus. And I started to network and started to reach out and try to set up what the next thing was going to be. And as you know, football is not a game you can play with 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If you're not nose first, it's time to get out.
Absolutely. So then you transitioned to the financial, and now you created, what was it, the money vehicle? That's your baby.
That's my baby. That's my pride and joy. Spent a decade building it. I look at what I wanted to do. I went into wealth management originally, but I really came to realize, like, helping a family go from 2 million to 4 million or 4 to 40, like that wasn't what I was passionate about. I wanted to help young Jed. I wanted to help people with that first paycheck. How do you become wealthy? Like, what does that path look like?
Yeah.
And so money vehicle is first an analogy. We want you to see money as a vehicle, as a verb, as something that is going to take you somewhere. We actually do have some schools in Indiana using us as a curriculum because it is now a statewide mandate. Where I looked at it 10 years ago in 2015, I said, I think every high school student in America should be forced to take a financial literacy class.
Yes.
I'm not a prophet, but 10 years later, about 47 states have passed a mandate now for students to go through it. So that's what Money Vehicle became. We got a textbook, we got a workbook, we got a video library, we got projects, we got teacher guide. And so it was always, how do we help a student learn? But what I wrote in my journal in my rookie year in the NFL was, I want to come back and teach Jed how to handle this experience. We know we're going to get bumps, bruises, and the game's going to take. How do I take as much from the game as I can? Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to come back and teach professional athletes. Today, I'm very fortunate and blessed to be living that dream. Side note of why journaling's cool, writing it down statistically improves your likelihood of becoming whatever your dream is. But that dream of wanting to come back in this offseason, I'll visit about half the NFL, almost 15 teams, teach all the rookies, second, third year guys. The old dudes don't want anything to do with me. If you're in your like 7th season, they're like, yeah, I got a team for that, man. Get out of here. And
I got a guy,
which is wrong. And you need to speak the language too, but I respect it. And so, yeah, today, Money Vehicle, Fullback of Finance, and I'm working with some NBAs, National Women's Soccer League now, some WNBA, and they just got a big CBA and paycheck.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to live this dream of how do I teach young Jed, but how do I teach the student of today, 15-year-old in high school, 25-year-old in the NFL, how to make money go to work for them. And that's just truly a dream come to life.
I love that because, I mean, I've never made NFL money, but it's like you get a kid or even a young man, 21. I know what I was doing at 21. I was blowing money faster than I could do it. I couldn't imagine having a couple $1 million to go blow. So it's just like I love that because you're teaching them, hey, just because you have all this money now, let's plan when you're 40, let's plan when you're 50. Yeah. You don't want to go be working at McDonald's at 65. Like,
no.
Let's take what we have now because you are very blessed. You are in a situation you can have generational wealth. Let's just take care of it right now. And I love it. Like, I commend you on that because 19, 20, 21 millions of dollars, that could be bad.
And I mean, we were talking about the recruiting process earlier. Financial has become a very, very, if not the most important part of it. What I do call out, though, is the number one reason why the professional athlete is going broke today, why guys aren't capitalizing on it, is the responsibility, the anxiety they feel for how many they're supposed to support. I've talked to 16-year-olds who say, my parents are depending on me to make it because they need that paycheck. And I look at that pressure that is on that young NIL potential athlete today. Yes, some are making millions and it's amazing, but it is that idea. You get a short career, maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 2 years, maybe it's 15. You're going to be a non-athlete a lot longer. And you have the wherewithal and the understanding of how to make it last. And that's one of my biggest messages from rich to wealth. Rich means you have money today. Very fortunate to be rich. Wealth is how many tomorrows you don't have to worry about money. It is a very different concept, and it's really where I want. Now it's college athletes too. I call them business athletes. Rich rookie is an insult. Wealthy veteran is the dream. How do we make that transition? You got to start speaking and knowing that team that's working for you, what exactly are those people doing? But yeah, the number one reason today a lot of guys are struggling is because they're trying to support too many family members, too many friends. And my analogy is always, you get on a plane and they say that the mask is going to drop. The first thing they tell you to do is put your mask on first. And that's what we have to do with our financial plan. I want to support as many as I can too, but if you're passed out and unconscious, you can't help anyone. So don't let that be you.
Absolutely. I mean, we're circling back. Yeah. Your first paycheck story. That's what
yes. Yeah. So mine, very cute again, being so naive. I had a girl at the time with me from college. She's a Cougar, Washington State. And my first paycheck, I went and bought an engagement ring. Now, it's a cute story. It's a wise investment. 17 years later, she's still around. Like, it was good. But the financial habit, the idea that I got my first paycheck before it even hit my bank account, the money was all gone. That was the epiphany and the eye-opening moment. I remember that night in knots, in sweat, being like, was this a mistake? Was this the right? Not that the girl, it was the money side. And that next day after we bought that ring, I started to go to Borders bookstore and walk down the personal finance aisle, picked up Rich Dad, Poor Dad, started to look at Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. And it was that decision that was both A, the best decision I've ever made. She's great. But B, showed me how little I understood. Make money, spend money was the only relationship I ever had with it. It's the only relationship most people have with it. You got to learn to save. And in today's world, you've got to be able to step into the investment space or else your financial plan is just broken.
That's exactly right. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's a book. That's a good one. That was the book that I picked up accidentally, and it changed my mindset on how to, about money and business and all of that. So it's 25, 30 years old now, but it's still, still good. It's somewhere in my library over there.
Yeah. Likewise. It's back there.
Oh yeah. We're coming, let's see. I got a couple more questions. I don't want to take up too much of your time. You're publishing a book. We haven't even talked about that yet.
We haven't even got there. That's what's cool. So I mentioned journaling a few times. Fourth and Goal comes out April 28th, so it's coming out in a few weeks. Well, depending on when this airs and people are listening.
It'll be a couple weeks.
It will be from January when I'm leaving the New Orleans Saints after we lost in the playoffs through the following January when I'm leaving the Detroit Lions. It's the 7th season of my career. What is really neat is at this point, I was confident enough and comfortable enough to bring my journal actually into the facility. So every day in special teams, I would sit and write. Who was I around? What was happening? Parts of the game plan, parts of the last game, parts of what coaches were saying. I was just trying to document the entire experience and journey. And my daughter actually asked me something about her first year being in Detroit. And I said, I bet that's in my journals. And I went back and I looked and I go, man, I wrote down way more than I remember. Mm-hmm. And I used this AI app to turn it into a Word document. And the Word document was sent to me and it was about 90,000 words. And I go, snap, that's a book. Like that's a full thing. So I've obviously cleaned it up and doctored it a little bit, but it is pure Jed's train of thought being inside my helmet that 7th year in the NFL. It is being around greatness like Megatron and seeing him, I got to Thanksgiving Day game, Green Bay Packers. He catches a pass for 10,000 yards. Like he is the legend of Megatron. And we're sitting on the sidelines and everybody's celebrating and it's kind of cool. We all calm down, get a swig of water, and a timeout is called. And the head official walks off the field over to Calvin, takes his white cap off, holds it to his side and shakes Calvin's hand. And we all kind of like look around like, does this guy know the game is still going on? What? But that's what you appreciate is when you're around greatness, observe it and appreciate it. And even in that game, later in the game, we're at, goal line, 2nd and goal from the 1, and we're waiting, calling, and Calvin, CJ, Megatron turns to me and he goes, what personnel are we in? I'm like, I think it's 23, our big, heavy goal line packet. And he looks at me and he goes, I don't like it. Go tell Joe Lombardi, our offense coordinator, go tell Joe to run something out of 11. And that's obviously a heavily wide receiver package. And I kind of look at him like, one, why do you think Joe's going to listen to me? That's not like you. Like CJ doesn't I don't question greatness. So I turn around, I start walking over to Joe. And because Calvin's a freak of nature, he's standing. I get like 3 steps away from him. He just reaches out his hand and grabs the back of my shoulder pads. And I turn around, he's busting up laughing. But it was in this moment, in this game, Thanksgiving Day, Green Bay versus Detroit, he's having a good time. And what makes the greats great is the hustle, the grind, the effort. This dude was part of the Breakfast Club. He was in there at 5:45 a.m. in the weight room with me. No rookies were in there. The greatest receiver of all time, a 15-year lineman, Reggie Bush, and this no-name undrafted kid. And you just go, gosh, man, how do you get to that level? You have the hustle, you have the grind, but you're still enjoying the process. And those were the moments, the white cap taking his hat off. I'll never forget that because it shocked me. It was just like the building appreciated greatness. And it was cool.
Absolutely. Wow. Man, and you've had a heck of a career, heck of a life. Like, that's awesome, dude.
But it's, how do you fight AI today? Why I get to remember it, because Lord knows I took a bunch of shots to the head. I don't know how long my memory is going to last, which is sadly and darkly a part of why I love journaling is I get to hand it to my kids. Mm-hmm. I get to remember these stories. I can close my eyes and go back to that moment because I have a journal that shared it with me. And that's what 4th and Goal is all about. That's what I documented was the moments I wanted to remember. In that story, Jeremy Ross, one of our receivers, grabs the Gatorade bottle that says Johnson 81 on it, takes a swig of it. And if you remember in Space Jam, Bugs Bunny starts to go, Yeah. So he starts to go all loony, like, hey, man, I'm drinking whatever Calvin's drinking. Like, obviously now it works. And it's just like, that's the beauty is I think with AI today, there's going to be so much creation, so much ease.
Mm-hmm.
One thing it will never be able to do is sit on that bench and look through my eyes. It can't tell you what Jed Collins saw. That first person experience, that's what 4th and goal is. If you've ever asked yourself, what's it like for an NFL player, a no-name? This is not the Drew Brees, Tom Brady story. This is the guy trying to survive every Tuesday and be on the squad. That's what I want the book to be. But even on top of that, it's a template for that young person to begin their own journal. People tell me all the time, I wish I could do that. There's 100 journaling prompts throughout this book because I know to survive in the future that we're going into, you got to be able to tell your story. And journaling is going to be the greatest gift and tool to be able to do that with.
It's so cool. I mean, I journal a little bit, not as much as you. I try to journal what I can. I mean, I got a book. I call it the Book of Pods. Every podcast I've ever done.
Yeah. All right. We'll document.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I try to do with my social media is post pictures, post videos. So when I'm kicking the bucket, my kids can go back and see Dad might have been kind of cool. I don't know. But it's just something you got to be able to track that because you got to be original. Like that's AI. AI is going to make so many cool things. I use AI a lot. But it's never going to replace me. No. It's never going to replace you. I mean, there's one Jedidiah Collins. There's one Red Velvet. Like it's just, well, there's 2 Red Velvets, but there's, but that's what that's what I wish growing up I would have journaled more. That's one regret I do have is not writing it down. I try to go back and be like, well, in 2008 when I was 18, what did I do then? You know, it's just, but I'm starting to do it now more as an adult, and it's very, very useful.
No better time than now. And I will say this, the more you do it, the more you are going to be able to go, oh, shoot. Yeah, remember in 2008 when we went and did, and then you get to document it then. The skill develops, and that's where the journaling, people ask me, like, how can I create content, write on LinkedIn or write in? I'm already writing. Now I'm sharing it with you. Like, that's the change is my skill is developed. Do you want to be a part of it? And I put some things out, poof, into the oblivion and into the abyss. Yeah. I put some things out and people come up to me a year later and go, do you remember that post? And I'm like, no, but they loved it. And so like, that's the point. You're not journaling, you're not documenting, you're not even creating a story. Just write down some details that later you go and tell a story. Because if I can tell you anything, talking to high school and college students across the country, communication is going to be king in the next 10 to 20 years. Mm-hmm. Can you stand and speak in front of human beings? People, I fly around and I do that now, and they're like, oh, you're so good at it. It's like, I've done this 1,000 times now. I've done it to an audience of 1. I've done it and felt horrible about it. I've embarrassed myself. You go out and you get reps. But the only way you can start doing that is knowing what you want to say, hearing. We all have the voice. Mm-hmm. All journaling is hearing the voice and giving it a life on a page.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now getting to my fun questions.
Here we go.
I can't wait for the book to come out. Like you're getting a sale for me. I can tell you that. Anyway, where will they be able to buy that? I don't know if we can.
Amazon. Oh yeah. They steal all the money, but it's the easiest way to do it.
Well, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah. I'm excited. I want the story out.
Yeah. What's your favorite memory of this whole journey from your high school to college to the pros? Favorite memory there?
Favorite memory of my career. So it'd have to be, and this is actually not coincidentally, it's in the book, and it might be my favorite memory right now because I got to go relive it as I was, going back to this journal. My favorite memory is in Detroit. I had some amazing times in New Orleans. I don't want to downplay those, but I caught a flat, and there's this linebacker in Carolina named Luke Kuechly, who just became a Hall of Famer. But even while we were playing, he was the Calvin. Like, he was a guy that everybody goes, this dude's different. Like, this guy's on that level. And he came and he gave me everything he could. And I got through him. got into the end zone, and scored on a Hall of Famer. But the fun part was I took the ball and I rocked it like a baby because I had a little 3-month-old daughter.
Yeah.
And so I have a cool picture of me rocking the baby. After the game on the bus, Kellen Moore, who's now the head coach of the New Orleans Saints, Kellen looks at me and goes, "Awesome play. You used the ball in your celebration? Like, that might be a fine." I go, "Kellen, like, this is my parade, man. Don't write on my parade. Like, what are you talking about?" He's like, "I don't think they'll do it, but like, you know," sure enough, that Wednesday, I get a big FedEx in the mail, $11,000.
Oh my gosh.
Using the ball as a prop. I blank. Like, the life drips out of me. And now I'm the finance guy, like, 11 grand, the time value, that's after tax, the time value of money at $20,000 over the next, I just lost my daughters aren't ever going to get a car. Like, what the hell? And so everybody sees that, like, it just totally messes with me. I go out to walk through. Dan Orlovsky, who's a buddy on the team, comes up. He's like, "Don't let it beat you up. Like, it's just money. Like, let it go, blah, blah, blah." We go through all the drills. And then Stafford, our quarterback, calls up and he's like, "Running backs, wide receivers, come on, tight ends. Hey, like, we got to tighten up the ship. Like, we can't be making sloppy plays. We can't be doing little things." He's like, "Jed didn't get a penalty for this, but he did get a fine for the celebration. Like, we just can't afford to do little things like that. Like, we need to be focused." "All right, everybody good? All right, cool. Bring it up." And we put our hands in, and he looks at me and he goes, "By the way, Jed, that FedEx was for me." And I just go,
oh my.
So that might have been my favorite moment because it was, one, I got to score on a Hall of Famer.
Mhm.
Two, a future Hall of Famer made a massive joke and trick on me. And it's just like, guys, that was well played. Screw you all.
Yeah. Wow. That's a rib right there, man.
That was good.
That was really good. Wow. You've traveled the country.
Yeah.
In your playing days. What were some good eats? Some good food. You're like, man, that was a good.
So I mean, I got to live in New Orleans for 4 years. Throw a rock, you're gonna hit some good eats in New Orleans. Down in one of the wards, they had a restaurant called Bachnal, and it was wine and cheese, but then it was just a cookout and a grill. And what was awesome is it was like an old house, the backyard. They just set up a little stage, played music, and fed you until you left. And so I loved going to Bachnal. That was awesome. Philadelphia, I went with the linemen, and we went to Pat's Steakhouse and got a Philly cheesesteak. And because I was with all the linemen, we walked across the street and got a Geno's Steakhouse, to compare. And I will say, I don't care which one you go to first, the second one's not going to be as good. Like, your second Philly cheesesteak is going to be a little rough. Coincidentally, and they don't still medically know why, 2 days later, 48 hours, my appendix burst. Could it have been the 2 Philly cheesesteaks? We don't know. But that was, so it was just such a neat kind of journey to get to go around. Obviously, traveling around with the NFL guys, we went to a lot of steakhouses, and you that's fun. But I like, you get a good steak is a good steak. Yeah. You go to the places that have character. That's where the food tastes different. And that's New Orleans to me. Is we're not trying to fancy it up. We're going to get you a cocktail in your hand, put on some music, and you're going to like the way this food tastes.
Mm-hmm. My favorite place, wherever we go, I'm like, we are not eating anywhere that's at home. And I want mom and pops. I want hole in the wall. I don't want to go to like the hood, but I will.
Yeah.
I told my wife, there's
not McDonald's. Go ahead. I was going to say, not when the sun sets. Go early.
Well, I told my wife, I went to this Italian place in Indianapolis, and I said, hey, I want to take you there. I got to figure out where it's at because I get lost all the time.
Yeah.
I said, but there's a sign on the door that says not responsible for stolen items. And I was like, don't wear your Sunday best. We're going in sweatpants. Yeah. Let's chill. But did you have any game day rituals?
Oh, endless. And coincidentally, I write about it in the book.
Okay.
One, the national anthem was always the trigger for me. The last song before we approached the field, that was the moment the chains came off of Zilla, and we let the beast out the cage. That last, right before the last line, I would always have this just curdling scream, bellow, and it was the awakening of my beast. It was my character, to the point where guys on my team like came to expect it. Like they would come around me right about that time, or like, here goes Jed, like he gonna do his thing. And then I would be the first one to jump onto the field. And it was just that mindset shift. So I loved the national anthem. Even to this day, when I hear that, I get goosebumps and chills. But athletes, we are superstitious. We are routine, process oriented. Pre-game, I would always go walk the exterior of the field twice. I'd do 2 full loops, kind of like the walls of Jericho back in the day. And then I would walk down the 50-yard line and stand on the logo. And I would first accept that I'm willing not to walk off this field today. That was the mentality I had to get in. But then I would start to stare at those opponents, and I would start to tell myself things that I was going to get to go do. And it was mindset check after mindset check. In the shower 5 hours before the game, getting my jerseys on, walking the stadium, walking out, the national anthem. I had about 10 different moments in the 4 or 5 hours before a game that was, you're ready, let's do this. You're ready, let's do this. It was harder in like the night games. Obviously, Sunday night football, Monday night football is cool, but sitting around all day is not easy to like keep that intensity. But yes, pregame routines, pregame rituals endlessly. You got to find, and that's what a pro does. You're able to flip the switch and go right back into the person and the player you need to be. I needed a little more than some of the guys, but that's what my pregame rituals were doing.
Nice. Now, before the show, you mentioned at one time you were a WWF fan.
Yeah.
Being a wrestling nerd, I got to know, what got you into wrestling?
Oh, what got me into wrestling? I mean, I got to go to a couple events. I've been to 2 Royal Rumbles. I've been to some Monday Night Raws. It was during I would say, maybe not the heyday, might have been the heyday, the WWF, WCW battle of like, who's better? WCW with the NWO, white and black, red and black.
Yep.
I got into it because I love the idea of big people, but I love the idea of bigger characters. And honestly, Mankind, because I'm a weirdo, was one of my favorite, Cactus Jack and all the other people, Mick Foley, he was. But the idea that he was so cool being uncool, that is a character that I got to really, and then, like earlier, even in my childhood, having the bed sheets that was Jake the Snake and the Bushwhack brothers?
Bushwhackers. The
Bushwhackers. Man, yeah. The Bushwhackers. And so me and my brothers shaved our head, and we'd all like hit each other and do crazy. Yeah, yes. March around. I would do that in football, man. If I got a big hit, I'd pop up and I'd give him a little like, get out of here. And so my brother was Jake the Snake because his name was Jake. And so I loved the theatrics of it. I love the physicality of it. I tell people to this day, like if I missed my calling, it was professional wrestler, because I have, bigger physique than the average bear, not compared to some of those cats now, but I could sell the Jedzilla would have been good at the speaking side, the theatrics, the drama, the challenges, but I would have been a heel. I would not have been the pretty boy. I would have had the long hair, bushy beard, and then the Mankind, Kane. I loved Kane because he was the little brother, and I'm a little brother. So yeah, everything about it was awesome.
And Undertaker was my guy. And so Kane came out. I mean, when the Attitude Monday Night Wars, I was 3rd grade. So, and I'm seeing Kane, I was like, that guy's just as big as his brother. Like, that was awesome. Like, yes. I joked. So I got to tell you, I got a personal story. I joked with my wife when we were deciding to have children. She goes, what do you want to name our kids? And I go, well, there's this guy that played at Boise State. He was pretty cool. His name was Kellen. I said, I'd like to have him Kellen Moore. And then I said, I can't name my other son the Undertaker, so I said I want my brother the Big Red Machine, Kane. So that was always if we had boys,
Yes,
Pete, Kellen, and Kane, but we had girls.
So yeah, girls. Same. My boy was going to be Ezekiel. I don't know why, but and then I had 2 girls. So now I have a dog named Ezekiel.
There you go. I need to get a dog. I need to name Kane.
There you go. Kane the dog. Kane's a great dog name.
I know. I mean, it's just because everybody joke because I'm a bigger guy. Like, you're the Big Red Machine. I go, yeah. My son's gonna be the Big Red Machine because I told my wife, I said, when I met you, I was scouting. I said I was scouting for that Division I football player, and I had daughters. But anyway, that's not.
Hey, there are some women making money in Division I sports now. So
yes, they are, and that's what's cool. That's what I love because. And somebody asked me, like, why do you do this? And I said, I got daughters and I want girl sports to get up to the level of boy sports. I said, I want my daughters to feel like rock stars. I want everybody's daughters to feel like rock stars. And I said, that's what I want to do it for. I said, I love covering the boys and all that, but I said, I really want the girls to get on that level.
This is where the girls' game is changing. Like, can you create your character, the killer? Can you be that one, the assassin out on your field, your court, your whatever? Heck, if it's a dance routine, I don't care. You lock in and you go and hunt. You be the hammer. And it's like, I love that.
Flip that switch.
Flip that switch. National anthem, man. I'll send you the book. You'll see the section on the national anthem.
Yes. What was I going with? Sorry, blank that. Oh, social media. Where can people follow you on socials?
Yeah, so YouTube, Jed Collins, on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Fullback of Finance. This is what I get to do. I always say my pillars are money, mindset, and memories. So if you're interested in more of my stories, that's exactly where Fullback of Finance, where you can find me.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you again for joining us and hanging out with me. This has been a blast. Like,
this is easy. We talked for an hour, Red. We can keep going. This is not.
Yeah, that's the joy of podcasting. There was like, what do you shoot for? So I shoot for 20 minutes. Anything beyond 20 minutes is just gravy, baby. And it's just
icing on the cake.
That's right. Meeting new people and all that. Real quick, I got to thank the people that make this possible. Our sponsors: Wabash Valley Plumbing, RJ's Formal Wear, and Everhope Co. And also on Facebook, thank you to our subscribers. For 99 cents per month, you can subscribe to the Diner Podcast and get early access to podcasts like these and other cool things. But I hate doing the salesman thing, but I got to do it.
You're an entrepreneur, man. We all hate being salesmen, and yet everything every day is sold. So we got to accept it.
That's right. Well, Jed, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been an absolute blast.
Brother, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for letting me be a part of your community, and look forward to the next.
All righty. We're out of here. Everybody, love y'all and keep pushing.